the Flames kick off their first of 6 road games tonight against the one and only Washington Capitals.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we are here to preview tonight's matchup against the Washington Capitals and Calgary Flames. The Flames are kicking off their first game of this 6-game road trip that has a lot of us questioning, debating on where this will land the team, not only for the trade deadline, but also in terms of the postseason. We're going to talk about knowing your enemy. How do the two teams compare? And of course, your players to watch. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And let's dive right into it. I feel like this season, the Washington Capitals kind of flew under everyone's radar. And I know that sounds kind of silly, especially with Ovechkin being so close to breaking Gretzky's goal. It feels silly to say that. But I feel like people are always calling them like the nursing home, and it's kind of like a joke between the Caps and Penguins about like who's going to be the oldest team. They're both nursing homes, things like that. And the fact that they are at the top of the league right now in standings is crazy. I'm sure there were people who projected this. I'm sure there's a model out there, but I did not foresee this happening. They were really under the radar this offseason. I feel like they made that big trade, obviously, to get Logan Thompson and then some guy named Andrew Mangiapane. But it felt like it was, a little bit of not retooling, but they were working on getting, addressing needs, and goaltending was obviously one of them. I feel like it's been a big thing for them since Braden Holtby unofficially retired from hockey. But let's talk about the real person we're all watching this game for tonight. Alexander Ovechkin. He is 13 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time scoring record. That's crazy. He has 29 goals on the season. I don't think that like he's ever going to stop playing hockey. People said that Tom Brady was like a bionic robot and he was going to play football until, the end of time. But quite honestly, I feel like that's what we're getting with Ovechkin. He just night after night after night, and at his age, it's crazy. And I mean, no one's stopping him. He will very likely break the record this season, and that's exciting. I feel like we've all been watching this chase for, at least like the last 3 years, as it felt like it was becoming more tangible. But wow, I'm looking forward to this matchup potentially. Tom Wilson has 26 goals on the season as well. Another player that, you would love to have on your team, but hate to play against him. I think that Tom Wilson has the reputation he does for a reason, and it's deserved. But much like Brad Marchand, I think that he's kind of leveled off to the point where his antics don't take away from his on-ice performance, and that's what I want Martin Pospisil to get to. But I fear we're not looking at the same caliber of player as some of us may have projected. The goaltending situation is, of course, is interesting. I feel like the Flames are pretty evenly matched here. Logan Thompson is their main guy. He has a 2.25 goals against average with a 920 save percentage. It's always nice to see, teams get their guy in net. I think that if Logan Thompson continues to play the way that he has, and the offense continues to dominate, the Washington Capitals are winning the Stanley Cup. And I will mark this down and write it down, and we will revisit this when the postseason hits. But I feel like they have what it takes. And we're going to talk about, more of their components of what makes up their team coming up next. But they have the pieces. And I am so incredibly jealous that they have those pieces. And let's check in on our close friend, Andrew Mangiapane. 11 goals, 20 points in 56 games. So, thank you, Washington, for that second round draft pick and not letting us, or not taking on his whole salary. So there's nothing retained. Because, woof, $5.9 million to score 11 goals in 56 games. That's tough. I know it's a tough year for him between the trade, things outside of hockey with his best friend passing away unexpectedly, and I don't want to be too harsh on him because I understand there's outside circumstances, but this could have been how he played in Calgary too without the transition. So, I mean, I'm happy. I hope that he finds, success like he did a few seasons ago. I don't think he'll ever be a 38 goal scorer again, but I do hope that he does have a few more 20 plus goal seasons. He deserves it. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the Flames matching up against the red hot Washington Capitals here on Lockdown Flames. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidate. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/locked-on right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Thanks everyone for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And my notes here is the segment title. How do they match up? My first bullet point is they don't, with a heart. So if you really want to know how I feel about this matchup, there you have it. I am worried for the Flames because they do not compare in any capacity, really. Offensively, I think is the biggest one. You don't have an Alexander Ovechkin. You don't have a Tom Wilson. This team has a lot of good scorers. They have PLD. They have Dylan Strome, even Connor McMichael, Jacob Chikrin. There are a number of players on this roster where it's oh, okay. I personally do worry. I think that this is going to be a game where maybe the Flames don't look as competitive. Uh, I mean, they were truly getting outplayed by the San Jose Sharks, who have won 15 games this season, and now you're going to play the top team in the league. You are not going to be playing where you might think or this team could just play like Stanley Cup champions. That's the thing about the Flames, is that you rarely know what version of them you're getting. And that's why it's hard for me to sit here and say this team is a playoff team, or this team should be buyers, this team should be sellers. I don't know, because I don't think they know. But let's talk about what we do know. How do they match up on special teams? The Caps have the 10th best power play in the league, with the Flames at 15th. Sure, that's 5 teams in between them, and it's a little over a point apart. I think that the Flames have gotten better on the power play. I think that they have certainly improved light years from where they were at the start of the season. I think that, having Matt Coronado, huge help. I think that his shot is, I don't want to say lethal, but it's definitely something the Flames were looking for. And it's great to see that. And there was one shot against the San Jose Sharks where he rang it off the crossbar, and I was just like, that was the one. And then the broadcast said he was out of position, which I didn't necessarily take away, but okay. I mean, special teams help you win, right? Like, special teams will win you championships. You need to have a good penalty kill in order to succeed. And again, you don't want to be taking too many penalties in the playoffs, because you're going up against teams that have, similar caliber power plays and penalty kills. So, the Caps, the Capitals have the 6th best penalty kill. And my God, do I miss those days. I miss those days where Chris Tanev was out there laying his life on the line. Every penalty kill. It was a lot. Life was a lot simpler when the Flames had a top 5 penalty kill, I will say, because now they're sitting at 28th out of 32. So we know where things kind of stand there. The issue, I don't even think it's necessarily an issue. I think that the Flames did a good job against the Sharks, not taking too many penalties. I think that they have gotten better at limiting those trips to the penalty box, and that's a good thing, because they really couldn't afford to be down a man and they would just be on the penalty kill. Like, they could not afford to do that, and I still don't think they can necessarily afford to do that with how leaky their penalty kill is. I think that they could get dog walked easily. But then there are times where they look like a whole different team on the penalty kill. And I'm just like, wow, this is, it's so refreshing and rejuvenating, but I want to see that consistently. And that's the biggest thing here for the Flames, especially on this road trip. You have to be consistent. And I'm worried that that's not the case, especially because Ryan Huska likes to just make whatever decisions on a whim and throw the lines in the blender. And I would say Dustin Wolf starts tonight. I would say that there's no reason for Vladar to be seeing the net. unless, you know, you want to keep him warm or get him warm. I don't necessarily think that's necessary because you could have him have Wolf start against the Lightning, and then Vladar take the Canes on the first half of back-to-back, and then the Panthers on the first half of back-to-back, and then, rotate for the second half. But I don't know what Huska's plan of attack is here. I think that Wolf will start a majority of the games on this trip, minus the second half of the back-to-back. I think that is a given, but I think that that's fine. He has settled in. He has to go up against these big, scary teams and goal scorers because otherwise he's never going to learn. It's kind of like, at some point when you're teaching someone to like ride a bike without training wheels, like you just have to pull the training wheels off and let them go. Just do it. And they've done that with Wolf. And this is, again, another big test to see how he's done in his first season. Am I concerned that the Caps have scored 15 goals in their last 2 games? Yes. 100 million%. I would be lying if I said otherwise. Do I want Dustin Wolf to go up against that? No. I would prefer for a brick wall, but Dustin Wolf really is as close to that as you're going to get. So we'll just have to keep waiting and see. I have a lot of faith in Dustin Wolf. I do. I don't think he's the problem. I think that it is the defense and defensive plays that break down in front of him. But coming up next, we will wrap up the show with my players to watch because Kevin Ball makes his return to the lineup, and this could be what the Flames need. I just want to make sure that you all know how much I greatly appreciate you making Locked On Flames part of your day. This show is a lot of fun, and I really enjoy talking about this hockey team, no matter how frustrated they make me. And you can join in on the conversations on Blue Sky and Twitter at Jess Belmosto. So, like I mentioned before the break, Kevin Ball is returning to the lineup. Great news. He missed a handful of games due to an upper body injury, aka a concussion after being slammed into the boards by Jacob Lauko in Minnesota. That should have been a suspension. They didn't even call it a major. So I'm still bitter about that, and I will remain bitter about that because I don't play when it comes to safety. I don't. Head trauma, head injury, they're scary, and we've seen the results of players that have had repeated concussions, and the NHL just pretends CT doesn't exist. But I digress. I think that it's just the Flames defensive group is like outside of Ball, Weegar, and Anderson, you have basically 3 other 6th and 7th, maybe 8th defensemen in your lineup. And I like Braden Pahal, do not get me wrong, but I do worry that there is too much responsibility on him, or he plays too much. I don't know. I love him. I think he's, he brings a lot of energy to the lineup, but sometimes he does just get dog walked, and it's not very fun. But could that also be because of his defensive pairing partner, whoever it is that day? I if I had it my way, the Flames would take advantage of having Solo up and just play him. I know Joel Hanley scored Sunday night against the Sharks, but we don't really need to pretend that he should be playing anything more than third pairing minutes. I think that that's outrageous, but let's bring it back to something positive. Connor Zary's first game back against the San Jose Sharks after being out for 15 games with a lower body injury that he suffered at the beginning of January. Was it? Yeah, January. And he was ruled out indefinitely. We did not know where things were going to go because was it going to be surgery? Was there not going to be surgery? What exactly is the injury? But he's back and he looked like he didn't miss a beat. He plopped himself back in there and played to where he was prior. And to me, that says a lot about who he is as a player. I think that Zary is a resilient player. I think he has a lot of grit, but I think that he is a very talented player because he did not have any cobwebs. He did not have any, rust. He looked like he had just well rested after the break and was ready to go play the game. Like he hadn't missed a month and a half of hockey. So I do give him a lot of credit there, especially because I'm sure there are some nerves coming back, and you're not necessarily looking to take another chance. But I'm very happy to have him back. I think that if the Flames have to put their offense on anyone's shoulders, I think it's great for it to be Connor Zary and Matt Coronado. The two can definitely carry the weight, and Huberdeau and Kadri are doing a great job of carrying that as well. But Matt Coronado also looked really great against the U.S. Okay, against San Jose. I thought that he had some great releases, some great opportunities, but obviously wasn't able to capitalize. And I don't want to say like, oh, that's fine, but it is the fact that he is shooting the puck. Because there are times where this team just overpasses. Like they're playing like the wonder ball and just passing it back and forth. And it drives me crazy because are you afraid to shoot the puck? Do you not see the vision? Like, what is going on? And I feel like Matt Coronado has gotten a lot better with that confidence to his game since earlier this season even. I just really like what him and Zary bring to the lineup. I would suspect that you're going to hear rumblings of contract extensions for them I don't want to say relatively soon, but before you know it, I think that I want both of them here long term. I think both of them are fantastic players, and I want them both on my team. If we're going to be rebuilding and shooting for the playoffs and building a competitive team, I think two players with a lot of speed and great hands and a great shot, sign me up. And my last player to watch is going to be Rasmus Andersson. Rasmus Andersson had a horrific game against San Jose. He was at the bottom or the second to bottom on the player impact cards, which means he had a very bad game. He had more of a negative impact on the ice versus a positive one where I want to say it was, like most of the fourth line was like up towards the top, which is bananas. But I'm curious to see, he played limited minutes in the Four Nations tournament. I get it. But I mean, it's not like he was Matthew Tkachuk out there. It's not like he was going overly hard game after game. Like I believe he put in effort, but what's going on now? Is it just the fact that it's the first game back and he's 29 years old? Probably. Do I hope that he gets it together? Yeah, absolutely. I want to see better defense from him, especially with Kevin Ball coming back. I think that would be the ideal option for the team, especially where he is your top pairing defenseman. If you're getting too much of a liability there with him, I would say you could honestly just put Uyghur and I really don't want Yermanov as a top line defenseman, but you just keep Ball up there. Just get creative. You're gonna have to figure something out, and I guess really just watch Rasmus Anderson and how lackadaisical he is, and how he will create turnovers and giveaways, or just be completely out of position, or not even. I don't even know if he knows where he is sometimes, and that's very frustrating, especially when this is a player that is a seasoned NHL veteran, but this is also a player that the Flames want to sign long term. So we'll have to iron those kinks out when we get there. But thank you all so much for joining me and hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. I hope you have a fantastic start to your week. Stay warm, stay dry, stay cool, stay hydrated. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. And I'll see you all later.